Warning, the review you are about to watch will contain spoilers wherever necessary for educational or entertaining purposes. Click away now if you don't wish to be spoiled.
I am a god!
Woo! And if the night is burning, I will cover my eyes, for if the...
Hello friends, I'm the Dyslexic Cosplayer, and today it's time we take a look at Andromeda. Today we're going to look at episode 4, and this episode feels less like a sci-fi story and more like an old Sub-Hunter World War II novel. But anyway, first off, we do get one truly beautiful scene in this episode. Watching Dylan and Tyr play basketball in the hydroponics bay. I don't know why this is so silly, but it always makes me so happy. However, they detect a distress call from an old High Guard ship. So they go to investigate, only for it to turn out to be a trap, and Andromeda is forced to fight an enemy they can't even see. All the while, Andromeda's missiles being shot down, and their opponent being able to punch right through their armor. Not helped by, in the heat of battle, Harper, who's piloting, is given contradictory orders by Becca and Dylan. Dylan wanted to stay and fight, Becca wanting to take off and run. Ultimately, they end up deploying countermeasures and pull back to reassess the situation. Later, in a not even slightly gratuitous scene, Dylan discusses the fact that the crew of the ship is not a trained military crew and he's having to readjust that. And at the same time, Becca discusses with Harper her concerns. Mainly that Dylan still seems to be acting as if he'll always have High Guard backup, and her purpose for the last couple of years has been trying to keep her crew safe and her ship flying. And if Dylan's going to continue risking that, then she may very well have to leave. So it's time for round 2 of Andromeda versus the mysterious ship out in space. The plan being to remote control some of the slip fighters so that they can use them to help screen Andromeda from the missiles, allowing Andromeda and Dylan to focus on the mysterious stranger out in space. However, Harper is unable to handle his responsibility, and Tyr's individualism and competitive streak causes him to abandon the section he's supposed to be defending, meaning that Andromeda gets pummeled when the gap is left open long enough for a bunch of torpedoes to get through. So they're forced to retreat inside the corner of a star to hide from... And the comparisons to Red October really kick in, since at this point the enemy are using proximity charges to try and find Andromeda inside the radiation of the star, while they are all desperately trying to make repairs to get the ship up and running. And Tyr and Becca find themselves on the same side, agreeing that Dylan's plan seems a little foolhardy and likely to get them all killed unless he can pull together something really clever. And Harper, in the vein of all Gene Roddenberry engineers, manages to pull together just the Deus Ex Machina they may need. Unfortunately, Harper's health is fading fast, and despite Andromeda's best efforts, there's not enough radiation shielding in the world to keep them safe when they're this close to a sun. Becca decides to pull the plug, and she's going to take Harper and the rest of her crew and abandon Dylan and the Andromeda. Unfortunately, not only does the rest of her crew think that they stand a better chance staying with Dylan, but as Dylan points out, there's no way that she's going to be able to pull this off without his help, which she's willing to give her in the form of the device that Harper has been making. A device designed to make the Urikamaru appear on sensors as if it's the Andromeda, allowing her to act as a decoy, and they're able to get the drop on the aggressor. But once crippled, before Andromeda is able to identify who or what they were, they instead decide to blow themselves up to deny Andromeda any kind of concrete information. Once they end up reuniting, Becca and Dylan have a heart-to-heart where Becca admits that she's going to try and work with Dylan and trust his leadership style more, while Dylan admits that he'll be more willing to listen to Becca in future and trust that she has a better idea of what's out there than he does at this point. So, on to the synopsis portion of the review. Honestly, this episode is mostly just character building, which isn't bad, but it doesn't make it incredibly worth rewatching, especially as the characters continue to evolve. Becca and Dylan's relationship is one of the best examples on display here, as they're both learning how to work with each other's command styles, and frankly the fact that they have a completely different command structure than they're used to. Dylan being used to trying to find information and report back to High Guard Command, Becca just trying to stay alive every day. The fact that Andromeda has remote control fighter craft make me so happy because it's an overlooked potential of science fiction, and it also very much puts me in mind of some of these serious quadcopter race setups where you basically have a set of goggles like this that you can see through the camera on the copter, and it gives you a perfect experience of being in control of something that you're not even actually inside of. The mysterious antagonist we end up fighting in this episode does get called back later in the series, but otherwise is completely unremarkable until then, and I'm not 100% sure it wasn't retroactively fit into a larger story. Unfortunately, that's about where I'm going to have to end most of my good things to say about the episode, because despite the 40-plus minute runtime, there's not much to really say here. I'm going to save my thoughts on Tyr for the next episode, since it does a better job of highlighting all of the flaws with his character as well as just Nietzschean society in general, but even here, we can see that this species should not have survived as long as they have. So, how would I improve this episode? Besides writing a completely different episode, really, I can't think of a whole lot. It's perfectly serviceable for what it is, but in my opinion, it is not the best the series has to offer, and again, in my personal opinion, for all that it provides decent character development, much of that character development is not overall important to the grand story and ultimately becomes superfluous with time. I feel a little bad that I don't have more to say, but really I'd rather just skip to the next episode since I find it a much more enjoyable story with better long-term ramifications and, quite frankly, more informative character development. But yeah, that's my review. I hope you found it informative, educational, and above all, entertaining. On to episode 5. What can we expect? Well, we get to see some hot, steamy Nietzscheans. We get to find out how you make a spaceship out of an asteroid, and bugs. Lots of bugs. I hope to see you all then. Till next time, friends. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed the review almost as much as I enjoyed making it. Now, if you would like to show your support, by all means leave the video a like, maybe a comment. If you want to go really crazy, try hitting that bell icon down below so you can stay informed of all my new content. As you can see, I'm coming out with a bunch of new videos. I'm also going to be hopefully doing more cosplay tutorials. If you'd like to show some more support in a more substantial way, try heading on over to my Patreon or my Facebook. Both will be links down below.